All right, welcome to day 5 of the fasting journey. Can't wait to tell you how I'm feeling and share today's big idea with you. I've been walking around this loop trying to get my 3.5 miles in. So let's go find a spot. I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on. All right, so today's thought that I have for you is fasting recenters your spirit. Fasting recenters your spirit. We talked about yesterday, there are so many distractions mentally that we have to go through every single day. We got to make all these choices and decisions, and all of that can be just noise. Well, that happens in our spiritual life too. And so one of the benefits that I have found of fasting is it deepens your prayer life. It deepens your prayer life. You're not spending all this time having breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. So it gives you time to just sit down and to connect with God. Also, the hunger pains, they often remind you that it is time for that connection. So when I say deepens, what I mean there is it makes it a priority where you've been making it one of the things you need to do. Connecting spiritually today is the thing you need to do. And it reminds you of your dependence on God. The second benefit is fasting strengthens our spirit. You're going to start to see a theme here. As I was writing all this down in the mornings, I started to see a theme. Strengthening our know. It did that for us physically. It did that for us mentally. What also does that for us spiritually. There are so many things in our day-to-day that we make compromises on because our no's are so weak. And a lot of that stuff has to do with our spiritual life that we're living day in and day out. But when we fast, we strengthen that spiritual no. Back to my thought earlier, it helps us grow our dependence on God, and we know what it is that we should be saying yes to live a faithful life. So when we decide to go without food, what we're saying is, God, I need you more than I need this food. And that is going to strengthen our no when we need it most. We need to rest a lot more when you're going on these fasting walks because you start to lose a little bit of juice and you got to sit down and you got to rest. But this is the perfect time to talk about how much I weigh and what I'm feeling. Those are the kind of two things I was tracking. So the first is how much I weigh. Right now it's about 164 pounds. So I'm down 1 pound from yesterday, 164. How do I feel though? I feel great. I tell you what, I made a big mistake this morning. I got up at 4 in the morning, just like I did a little bit earlier than yesterday, full of energy. But then my wife was getting ready for her burn boot camp that she goes to. And so that's kind of her morning time. So I went back to sleep. And then when I woke up at about 7, I felt so groggy. I don't know why. It took probably 2.5 hours to shake that off. Now I have a theory. And the theory is I woke up at 4 because I was dehydrated and my body was kicking in and I needed to go downstairs and get some water, but I didn't do that. And so when I went back to sleep for a few more hours, it really made me groggy. I woke up very dehydrated. So I had to drink pink Himalayan salt water. I had to have my electrolytes. And then I had 2 extra glasses of water before I left the house, got some physical activity going, and then the headache subsided and went away. So how am I feeling? I'm feeling good. I definitely felt a few hunger cravings today. Like, oh, you know what? I could really use a burger. I could really use a steak. And I didn't feel any of those yesterday. I was listening to the podcast that I linked yesterday, and the doctor on it was talking about how do you know when your fast is complete. Now, he was talking about in the podcast somebody who had fasted way longer than I'm fasting. I think he said 121 days. But he said that hunger will return. So I don't know if I just anticipate we're getting closer to Sunday and I'm getting hungry, or if hungry is actually returning. But for me, I've been a little bit more hungry today than I was yesterday. He also mentioned the benefit of a 5-day fast, which would mean that I'd be breaking it today, which would mean I'd probably be eating right this second. And that's one of the fasts he uses. He's used a longer one for medical reasons, but he usually uses his long fast as a 5-day fast, and then he'll do some 24 hours or some 36 hours in there. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I thought maybe I could shift to no, I can't shift to a 5-day fast. I committed 7, so we're going to go to Sunday together. But very interesting podcast. If you haven't had a chance, I would jump back there and listen to that. Well, this is the end of my fasting walk today. I am finishing up. I will put a link in the description to the sermon that I was listening to today to fill up my spiritual life. I'll see you tomorrow.